Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about the topic, second topic, RMI. Already discussed about JDBC. JDBC architecture, drivers, functions, etc. like that. Today, so everybody knows that what is JDBC architecture and drivers, etc. So another enterprise Java programming means Java programming using technology RMI. RMI means remote method invocation. What we have learned so far, this Java running in a single machine or a single computer, but this term EJP, enterprise Java programming. Enterprise means to distribute. There are four basic factors here in this technology, in AGP or JDBC or RMI. The common four parts: client machine, server and database. So we are going to move RMI. So first I am introducing just what is RMI. RMI is remote method invocation. Invoke an object from a server. RMI is an API. First point, RMI is an API. API means application program interface. Application program interface. What is interface? We know that we have a friend or a close friend, so he is sharing something from our secret cell. Okay, like that a computer technology is using interface. We have to see that. Then for first point is RMI is an API. It allows object. It allows object invokes from a remote machine. It allows an object to invoke methods on an object running in another JVM. Okay, it allows an object to invoke methods on an object running in another JVM. Here I am drawing a picture. Machine 1 JVM, machine 1 JVM 2. Okay. This RMI provides remote communication between the application using two objects, stub and skeleton. New word is coming, stub and skeleton. In JDBC, the previous module, JDBC, Java database connection, JDBC, in previous connection, there is an application program, then a driver, a server and a database. Okay, this is the communication part. Here this is the previous module JDBC. This same technology, but here it is only using different JVM. JVM means Java virtual machine. Both are situated in Java machines. Purely Java based invocation. So client send a request to stub. What is stub? We can see that stub send to the request a new part RRL, remote reference layer, RRL. Second point, send to the request RRL. RRL means remote reference layer, remote reference layer. Remote reference layer. That remote reference layer sent to the request transport layer. Transport layer. That transport layer communicate to the server with the help of TCP. With the help of TCP. The transport layer communicate with the help of TCP to the server machine. There is also again transport layer, RRL, remote reference layer. The request sent to the transport layer to the RRL. That RRL sent to skeleton. The server side object receiver is known as skeleton. We can see the explanation of skeleton and stub. Stub and skeleton, very important part in this RMI, stub and skeleton. The last 3 years continuously asking this question in university, what do you mean stub and skeleton? The 3 marks. And also describe RMI architecture also, essay question. So just go through these layers, which is stub layers, RRL transport layer, and also server side skeleton layers. So move to that picture. The third slide, we can see that client JVM, stub, skeleton, RRL and transport layer. Then client give a request, like example www, we know that one's website St. Joseph's College ac.in. This is our request / home.html, okay, not HTML. Okay. This is our request. We know that this protocol, this is domain name and this file name. This is the 3 part. That request send client machine to stub. This stub, very important part, stub. What do you mean by stub? That stub, the main duty of stub is act as a proxy. It act as a proxy. What do you mean by proxy? Just before I told you, proxy means stub is a proxy. Stub is a proxy. Stub is a proxy. What do you mean by proxy? It's one kind of storage location, right? For what? Forward and store and forward method. Using store and forward method storage location, we can see that the stub is acting as a gateway. Proxy, on one second point, it acting as a gateway. That means the client send that request, that URL, that request is binding, that request read and transmit. That is known as request read and transmit. Transmit is known as marshalling. What is that? Marshalling. The another important word, marshalling. What is marshalling? transmit and read and transmit is known as marshalling. So only this process doing this stub is known as marshalling from request from client, okay, to send to RRL. We can see this is layers. The computer science students knows that 7 layers. We already learned from, I think, data communication, the paper, 5th semester paper, data communication or computer network. Okay, you already learned about data. 7 layers. 7 layers. Another word, ISO OSI layers. OSI layers. From application program, from application layer to physical layers for the 7 layers. The 7 layers have 7 functions, 7 responsibilities. Like application layers transmit to the data link layer, data link sent to the session layer sent to the presentation layer, presentation to transport layer, like that. This one layer transmit to next layer, it is bits, frame or packets like that. Here it is stub also doing that same duty. This sent to the layer which language is known as that layer, the same kind of language sending to the from the stub request to the remote reference layer. That remote reference layers sent to the transport layer. So stub is a gateway receiving a URL or any request from client machine. That read and transmit, that process is known as marshalling, which request is routed to RRL. Which request is routed to RRL. That RRL is sent to the transport layer. That transport layer sent to the server side. Okay. So stub is the first point. Stub is a proxy. The second point, it's act as a gateway. The third point, it's ID of remote object. The ID of remote object, which means this invoking the object from server side. It is invoking the method or object which is invoking method from the another JVM. This is only duty of stub. Then parameter pass, which means the www.stcollege.ac.in, this is changing to, this is character, we know that this is character, but it is changed to packet or frames. That duty is stub. That duty is known as also marshalling. Okay. Then we are going to next slide, that is okay, already discussed about initiating, discuss about the stub, initiate the connection with the JVM, which is writes and read and writes, that is known as marshalling. So already discussed. Then skeleton. What is skeleton? This server reads the final request from client machine, search that request, appropriate response will be transferred to skeleton, transfer to skeleton. That skeleton here also providing the same, first is going unmarshalling, that means write and transmit, that is unmarshalling. First stub is providing marshalling to RRL. Here RRL is sending like packets, that packets read okay, packets read from RRL and transmit to server side, to server side. Okay, then that request that response sent to the skeleton, that skeleton again binding, that means marshalling, that binding and send it to or transmit to RRL, that RRL transmit to server side of transport layer. This it is an object, is acts as gateway of the skeleton gateway of server side. You understand? Gateway of server side. All the incoming requests are routed through it. All incoming requests routed to server. When skeleton receives, read these parameters, read this stub sending parameters, and read that parameters, and rebinding procedure is going on, and then that request send it to the server. For that is known as gateway of server. Invokes the method actual remote object, then return or respond to the RRL, and the RRL send it to or transmit to TP transport layer, or short is TPL, transport layer. That transport layer send it to back to whom? Transport layer of this transport layer in the side of client JVM, server JVM. That transport layer with the help of whom? TCP layer, with the help of TCP, transmission control protocol, and send it to the RRL and send to the stub is again write to the client. Stub is that request write to the request. First is read, then last one write to the client, that is unmarshalling. So stub and skeleton both are marshalling, unmarshalling. Here also skeleton also marshalling and unmarshalling. Okay, I think we have clear this simple topic which is very important essay question, and 3 mark questions from here, always asking stub and skeleton, marshalling and unmarshalling, then architecture of RMI. This you can see that next slide picture, machine A, simple picture, that is I am reading for stub and skeleton. Okay, marshal client side, client server, and JVM A, stub is okay, caller, sorry, JVM A, Java Virtual Machine A, caller sent to the stub, that stub is a skeleton. Here it is receive and remote object. Here it is internet, that internet is containing that internet, JVM B, okay, Java virtual machine. Okay, here internet, it's this internet containing RRL, TCL layer, transport layer, this TCP. Okay, this internet simple stub. This is the exact stub architecture, stub and skeleton architecture. This is server side. Okay, JVM A, Java Virtual Machine is sent to the caller is asking and I need a remote object from client machine B.